welcome, beloved, mighty companions. You guys are over there. I'm looking this way. I don't know if there's a way to change that, but with the camera set, I'm looking at you.
Yeah, I can't move it.
Namaste and welcome, beloved. Okay. So you need to be silent because we're actually in the session right now. And namaste and welcome, beloveds. Thank you for joining us at the last minute. Renee was able to run electrical cords all over the place and actually get this so that we can have a session tonight. So we've been continuing with the Song of Prayer tonight, and it's just a reminder of who we are. We were talking about forgiveness to destroy. It's everything other than authentic forgiveness, which is really to see through the desire to deny divinity and just see that it's wanted and we can release it to the light of infinite being. It's true choice for peace, whereas forgiveness to joy, to destroy, like you just kind of throw out a little, just kind of toss something out there, but it's not like authentic. It doesn't go all the way to the core of the denial. So it's trying to keep some piece of personal identity in play. And we were talking about how it's bargaining and compromise. We don't see where we're compromising. That's, again, where Jesus, we have to ask Jesus, Jesus, am I compromising? And constantly be attentive to him. Because in the play of consciousness, it's like, oh, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, or anything. It's such a distraction. Anything other than listening and hearing his voice and following him is compromise. You start to see that because we're compromising everything given by the Father for nothing, for some little part of ourselves. And bargaining with Jesus, I could see that play. I'm gonna bargain for a better deal. But what about this, Jesus? But what about this? Like we're always, I'm not going to do that right now. Or we got the I going, and any I thought is compromise belief that we follow. Rather than saying, no, I'm not following that thought. We're powerful enough. We have to see that we're powerful enough to just say no. Yeah, that expectation. If someone meets your needs, wow. First of all, let's check in with the light and see if we have any needs. That's a deep play. I'm going to look at that and see if there's any remnants of expecting somebody to meet my needs. Or any kind of expectation. Because if we expect, other than to be supremely happy, we can expect that, he says. Jesus, do I have any other expectation than supreme happiness, expectations? I really want to see it. See, when love gives everything to everything, it doesn't have expectations other than to celebrate itself. And that's just natural. So I want to look at any kind of expectation or trying to bargain with God for another deal, a better deal. It's like an expectation. How can we expect something to be more than infinite? More than everything? How can we expect that? Well, it's dreaming. That can only happen when we're dreaming. I will forgive you if you meet my needs, for in your slavery is my release. We were talking about that yesterday. Of trying to enslave a brother. Like that was a big expectation in relationships. I could see it with guys, If you meet my needs, boy, I had a long list of those. Oh, and that enslaves ourselves. We have to see how that list of rules, someone has to meet our rules. The more rules we have, the greater the unhappiness, because God doesn't have any rules other than be infinite. You're infinite, and you can't change it. But as soon as happiness relies on what another does, there's an other, and we've just denied ourselves the kingdom of heaven. Happiness has to rely on who we are. That's it, period. It relies on everything given by the Father to his Holy Son. Like, I will forgive you if you meet my needs, for your slavery is my release. Wow. Say this to anyone and you are a slave. Oh my gosh, so many demands in relationships. We can see unholy relationships. They're one big demand to enslave ourselves. Ask Jesus. Jesus, is that true? Unholy relationships are one big demand that we be enslaved, actually. They're one big compromise. Because as soon as we have an expectation of someone, it's specialness. Like we expect them to do certain things for us. Now, the Holy Spirit can turn that and use that to turn it on its ear, for sure. Definitely. He can use everything to turn it on its ear. Anything in consciousness can be flipped by the Holy Spirit to show us what's true. You can ask Jesus, is it helpful for me to see where I'm enslaving myself through an expectation of an other? Yeah, it's like I expect them to meet my demand right now. You have to be the way I tell you to be, or else. Jesus, is there any of that? I want to look directly at it. It really is bargaining for less than what we are. And you will seek to rid yourself of guilt and further bargains, which can give no hope, but only greater pain and misery. We have to see this bargaining thing. Like I could really see it. And I've talked about this before. They talk about that at Living Miracles. It's like, you kind of think, oh, I know it all. And it's like, no, you don't. But when they talk about no compromise, I'm asking Jesus about it because he's always so clear on everything, of course. It's sort of like, well, what are you talking about? Well, we don't want to hear about what compromise is. The play of consciousness to keep the fiefdom of nothingness, it requires that we not really pretend like we don't know what compromising divinity means. Any grievance held on to is compromise. The slightest twitch is a compromise. Anything other than infinite light is compromise. This isn't another way. That's why it's good. I'm going to check in with them, see if there's any compromise. Jesus, will you show me where I'm compromising, if there's any compromise? A single moment of unhappiness is compromising. He says, see, that's just not natural to you. Unhappiness is not natural. Worry, not natural. Pain, not natural. Suffering, not natural. Seeking for love in all the wrong places, not natural, because love's already here. And you will seek to rid yourself in guilt and further bargains, which can give no hope, but only greater pain and misery. I can see how much pain and misery from that. The good news is the guy I was dating wasn't given into any of it. And so I had to go in and forgive everything. I was just forgiven right and left, right, left, right, left, right. And that's pretty much it. It's 24/7 forgiveness, really, until we see, okay, I need to forgive myself. It's not, I actually knew then that there wasn't someone out there to forgive. I had to look at it, even though I really wanted him to look at it. Why doesn't he look at it? I don't want to look at you. That's how consciousness plays, you know. But ultimately, we know we have to look in.
You don't want to put the camera this way, do you?
Oh, it's okay. I'll just turn my head every now and then and look at them. You guys are down on the floor over there. Turn the camera, machinations, get it over there. I can turn a little bit. So, yeah. Renee's got this all rigged up. So, yeah. Yeah, why can't they forgive out there, those people? Because you know how much that itch, how badly we really want someone outside of ourselves to do the forgiving. Yeah, when are they going to be corrected? You know, as soon as you go to they, you're dead. You're in the dead zone. But we don't see it, you know, because that's a play of consciousness, because we want forgiveness to be out there, or someone change their behavior or do something differently for us to be happy. Straighten up. That's right. So we need Jesus to tell us. That doesn't mean we become some mamby-pamby, you get rolled over. No. No, when that lion lays down with the lamb, there's some serious power going through. Uncompromising power. You're not blown sideways by something appearing in form. It was really, really good, because I was standing there holding the refrigerator door open, and all the lights were going on and off, you know, and I didn't twitch, not a twitch, it's like, okay, the refrigerator blew out or something right in front of me. And I was like, okay. And then, all right. And then we realized the electricity's out. All right, what's next? You know, it's just so much more peaceful not to get all, okay, brand new refrigerator. Okay, what, you know, it just, thank you, Jesus. Peace of mind. What next? But at the same time, you do attend to the business of the spirit. You're not so relaxed that, you know, we're like the wet noodle. The electricity went out, but we still make the movement because it's our assignment to extend. And so we still keep the focus on track with the spirit. Because that's function. That is our function. To do that, we don't like, you know, throw up our hands and go, well, you know, electricity's not working. No, we just go, okay, Jesus, what do we do? Well, it turns out that there's 3 circuits in this place, and we ran an electrical outlet from the other room and ran it in here, you know. Renee got it all hooked up. Eventually we'll plug in the refrigerators too. How fearful has forgiveness now become, and now how distorted is the end it seeks? I just asked Jesus, so I had that distorted feeling of experience of forgiveness. Let's ask him. Let me see. Jesus, do I have any remnants of distortion of forgiveness? And then he can explain it to you. See, if he tells you yes and you go, okay, can you show me that? I feel so much happiness just saying that. Like if he were to say, because I want to be sure, and he's the only one who's sure, who knows the answer to these questions, because the rest of it's all self-delusion. We think we know forgiveness, but no, we don't. Not really. We can have an idea, but we're still trying to ooch out having somebody do something, you know, for us to forgive. We're still waiting for something to happen in form to accept the correction for ourselves, like immediate. Like, you know, the God has no take a number. We want to take a number and go sit down and, you know, eat the food on the side table, you know, complain about how bad it is. And then we can get around to forgiving. And what's wrong with our brother? You know, the water cooler. God, they're just such a problem. I thought that was natural. You know, it took a lot of mind training to finally see, wait a minute, that's indulging in suffering right there. Like, who has the bigger problem in the world? My coronavirus is bigger than your coronavirus. Oh boy, everybody's wearing masks. We got stopped on the road today, checked out, you know. Do you really live here? Do you have proof of residency? You just smile, hand them the information, and you stay at peace. Like, thank you, Jesus. Holy encounter with a little mask on. Big bazookas they were all carrying. Not a twitch. The dog was fine. The dog fell asleep in the back of the car. Okay. How fearful has forgiveness now become, and how distorted is the end it seeks? Have mercy on yourself who bargains thus. I love that. Someone actually posted that quote beautifully. And it's worth repeating that quote. It is completely, they posted, I think I said 2 days ago, well, Jesus said, the only merciful thing is to forgive yourself and forgive yourself quickly. And we're not seeing how absolutely unmerciful we are with ourselves when we don't accept that correction immediately. Feel the twitch, go to light. Feel the twitch, go to light. It's going to seem like a lot of twitch light, twitch light, twitch light for a while. Okay, everybody here's going, twitch light, twitch light, twitch light. But it's the only way to happiness, at least for me. He made it pretty clear, this is your path, so I accept. Have mercy on yourself who bargains thus. Have mercy and accept true forgiveness, which is to see the non-reality of sin. You know, I remember thinking, boy, this waking up is not gentle at all. This is not gentle. No, the forgiveness is so gentle. It's ridiculously, even releasing these desires is so ridiculously simple, so gentle. It is holding on to personal identity that is unmerciful. That's where we have lack of mercy for ourselves. I didn't see that, obviously, didn't want to. The play of consciousness. Jesus, do I have a desire for an experience of being unmerciful to myself? So I'm talking to Jesus. I'm saying, so Jesus, anything other than staying with the desire to let that desire energy burn out, that's unmerciful. See, as soon as you're up in the dream, the minute you go into the dream of this story happened and that happened, you're in the dream. You're in the unmercy. I'm asking him. He says yes. Well, he's saying that anything outside of staying with him in light is really unmerciful. Anything other than staying as light is unmerciful. Wow. This is a good one. Let's go deep. Jesus, to see the relishing of being unmerciful to ourselves. Is there any of that remnant? And he keeps reminding me, he just said, it's unmerciful not to accept the correction. Your father would not have this so. Not to accept the correction quickly. Like, so much love comes just in the turning in. Like we're so loved, like so much love. But we have to, in the play of consciousness, makes an unmerciful God that withholds everything from his son. We have to see that the unmerciful one is the one who's talking, speaking, and acting unmercifully. through compromise. See, compromising ourselves and not following the Holy Spirit is unmerciful. Okay, that's direct. It is completely, you can ask them because we can all hear him. Jesus, is it unmerciful of myself not to follow you? Completely unmerciful. It's like mercy of God. You know, we have honesty of God. We have to have merciful of God. Merciful of God is seeing where we're unmerciful to ourselves. Unmercy. No mercy. Where we compromise, that's what's unmerciful. That's pretty deep. God gives and does not ask for recompense. There's no giving but to give like him. All else is mockery. I said, Jesus, so compromise is mockery. He said, yep. I'm talking to him about, well, so yeah, so if we can't follow him, if we don't follow him, yeah, we're just withholding mercy from ourselves. That's unmerciful. It's not following, uncompromising. To compromise when he gives us an assignment, that's unmerciful to ourselves. I said, Jesus, that's self-retaliation. He said, yes, you're retaliating against yourself every time you don't follow me. We can start seeing how it has to be so much attentiveness. Vigilance for God, because the play in consciousness is to have no mercy for ourselves. Oh my gosh, ask him. Jesus, is that really the play of consciousness? Whoa. To be self-unmerciful. All else is mockery. For who would try to strike a bargain with the Son of God and thank his Father for his holiness? See, we're always bargaining with God for less than what we are. Just give me this one little thing, God. Just give me this one little moment of hell. I'll be fine. And let me stretch out that moment of unmercy for myself a little bit longer by not accepting the correction. That's the play. That's accepting all those twitches. That's the play. What would you show your brother? Would you try and reinforce his guilt and thus your own? Glad we're looking at this again. Because it's really subtle how we try to make our brother guilty. Whenever we're not following Jesus and speaking his voice, we're trying to make our brother guilty. He says yes. Now that's absolute. Because we're playing in the guilt arena. When we make our brother guilty, there's no one out there to be guilty. So who's going to be guilty? There's no one out there to make guilty. Would you try to reinforce his guilt and thus your own? Boy, one thought that your brother's guilty, that's death, isn't it? Yes. Jesus, can you show me any thoughts I've had on my brother that he's guilty? See, that's why our brother is the clue for seeing where we think we're guilty. Where I think my brother did something wrong, I want to look at it directly. That's being affiliate, tying ourselves to form when we think our brother did something bad, because that means we believe we did something bad. Forgiveness is the means for your escape. How pitiful it is to make of it the means for further slavery and pain. Within the world of opposites, there is a way to use forgiveness for the goal for God and find the peace he offers you. Take nothing else, or you have sought your death and prayed for separation from yourself. Christ is for all because he is in all. It is his face forgiveness lets you see. It is his face in which you see your own. Jesus, am I willing to see the face of Christ in my brother? If he tells you no, that's a great discovery. That's what we have to see, because it's the path to see we're innocent. It's where we don't want to see that we don't want to see that our brothers are victims of Christ. Really, I think I've talked about that. Like, I could see that there's light here, that's really great. And it's okay for me to light, but I sure as heck don't want anybody else out there to be light. It would be too weird. That's how the fragmentation works. Everyone's either light or they light. There's just isn't another choice. All forms of forgiveness takes that do not lead away from anger, condemnation, and comparisons of any kind or death. For that is what their purposes have set. Be not deceived by them, but lay them as worthless in their tragic offerings. You do not want to stay in slavery. You do not want to be afraid of God. You want to see the sunlight and the glow of heaven shining on the face of earth, redeemed from sin and in love of God. From here is prayer released along with you. Your wings are free. The prayer will lift you up and bring you home where God would have you be. Your wings are free. And prayer will lift you up. It's just singing. Love singing, singing, and singing. All the time. Washing the dishes. I love you, God. Oh, yes, I do. No, we think it's... Well... God would have us singing that song over the, I feel screwed by my brother song. The somebody done me wrong song, Be happy. They saying be happy. Okay, now we're moving into forgiveness for salvation. It's like in the old ways of giving a gift, you'd give a gift at Christmas and then and it always had strings attached. See, we'd put the gift under the tree and it really had a string attached because they better like it. Or vice versa, you better give me a gift I like or else. And it better not be a frying pan on the first year of marriage, That's what my mom got. She wasn't too happy. All these rules. You see all these rules and consciousness. Oh my God, we're wired for hell. We're just wired for hell and expectation. So thankfully, we have forgiveness for salvation. Forgiveness for salvation has one form and only one. It does not ask for proof of innocence or pay of any kind. I want to really look at that with Jesus. Well, here's one. Here's a play in consciousness. Wanting God to prove to us that we're infinite. God, you got to show it to me or I'm not in. That's, it's funny how we assume guilt. We never assume innocence, That's the play of consciousness, to flip that. Make it seem like we're guilty and we have to win innocence. True forgiveness is the assumption I'm already innocent. Otherwise, we're making it real, then forgiving it. What a play that was, boy. That's why we have to go to Jesus so he can show us where we're making the play real. And anyone, and all of us can talk to him. And the more you talk to him, he never makes the play real, but he will tell you where you're indulging in the play, trying to make it real. He will be that direct. He gets really direct. Look, here's the gig. And then these, in the joining in light sessions and in the chapter 20, you'll see if you let open the mind, he'll be so direct, but he's very practical. He'll show you how these thoughts and feelings and emotions and patterns and all the things we thought were real, how we're just investing in them. It's so helpful. It does not ask for proof of innocence. So it's the assumption. We're always assuming that we're innocent. That's what he's flipping with this. Assume you're innocent. It does not argue nor evaluate the errors that it wants to overlook. Do you see that play? How much time, Jesus, am I spending a ridiculous amount of time in evaluating the errors that I need to overlook? Like, that's dancing with the devil. Okay, so I'm asking him, Muji tells this story, and I ask him, can I tell? And he says yes. But this example Muji gives, like, you're walking along the street and you see dog poo, you do not bend over and examine that thing. Some may do it. But how much time? That's what it is. You know, we're just making this crap real. It's not to, but you can't judge it either, you know, call it crap, because even if you have attention, you just walk by. Do you see? He's just saying, walk on by, because every moment is a moment to join with Jesus and see the lights here. You know, he's not saying one iota that we have to go in and examine all the stuff. Now, as a play in consciousness, it might be helpful at first because we're so not getting it. Like, we're so apart that a couple of those little things of, if he tells you, you know, you can take it out and let me look at it directly. But the ego's favorite pastime is studying its navel. Its navel, you know, it loves just to analyze, and what if I did this, and postulate, and how about if we did this, and, you know, that just, Jesus, will you help me if any of that's remaining? I want to let that go. I want to give that over to you. Any kind of postulation. It's so worthless. Postulation is so worthless, isn't it, Jesus? Yes, he says yes. It does not argue nor evaluate the errors that it wants to overlook. So it wants to argue to keep the errors in play. It does not offer gifts in treachery nor promise freedom while it asks for death. Would God deceive you? He but asks for trust and willingness to learn how to be free. So, okay, let's say you had the biggest kerfuffle yesterday. Ask Jesus if you need to spend any time on it. He's going to say, be with me now. Now, sometimes he'll use the past. He'll bring up those memories, but it's only to see through them, because we've been playing them like bad records so many times. And then we pretend like a whole new cast of characters came in, and we're still feeling abandoned, you know? Well, I was abandoned when I was little. No, you made a decision right now to feel abandoned. See, there's no past. So the decision is being made right here, right now. He gives his teacher to whoever asks and seeks to understand the will of God. His readiness to give lies far beyond your understanding and your simple grasp. Yet he has willed you learn the way to him, and in his willing there is certainty. The only certainty is light. because it's identity. It's the only thing that's true. It's the only thing that lasts, has any lasting value. Light. Our true identity. You, child of God, the gifts of God are yours, not by your plans, but by his holy will. As I've said, you're seeing that we're his will. We are the will of God. There isn't anything other actually than the will of God. Jesus, are we the same as the will of God? It's good to check in and see if he ever tells you no. He's never told me no to that. Am I the same as God? It's not to say it in an arrogant way. It's just the recognition. One, I and the Father are one. His voice will teach you what forgiveness is and how to give it as he wills it be. Do not then seek to understand what is beyond you yet, but let it be a way to draw you up to where the eyes of Christ become the sight you choose. Give up all else, for there is nothing else. There is nothing else but light. There isn't. We can ask, Jesus, is there anything other than infinite light? He said, you can rest in peace on this. The only way we can rest in peace is light. Otherwise, we've got ourselves involved in the kerfuffle play. When someone calls for help in any form, he is the one to answer for you. And all that you need to do is step back and do not interfere. Forgiveness for salvation is his task, and it is he who will respond for you. Let Jesus respond to everything for you. This is important. I said, Jesus, and it's everything. It really is everything. Having him respond. That just sounded horrible to have Jesus take to cry. Someone said that, to crawl in the back seat, and let Jesus drive. It's like, what? Not play. And now it's like, oh. And then we don't have to have another thought other than, okay, what's happening now? Jesus, go up like that. Do not establish what form should be that the Christ's forgiveness takes. Oh, I could see that play too. I had certain ideas. If forgiveness looks like this, no, it looks like this. No, it won't be in this form. It won't be in. Yeah, it really has to be directed by Jesus. I can see that. He knows the way to make of every call a help to you as you arise in haste to go at last into your Father's house. Arise in haste. Make haste to your Father's house. And that haste is through following, not dallying. To be on his assignment timeline. To follow unequivocally. Now can he make your footsteps sure, your words sincere, but not with your own sincerity, but with his own. Let him take charge of how you would forgive in each occasion, then will be to you another step in heaven into peace. So I asked him, that's what happened with the book, given over the way the forgiveness was happening. He said, yes. He said, to follow my way is what's most helpful, and to really trust him. And that like built that relationship with him. Because the prayer of the heart was like a simple, direct way. And once it was seen that desires are really the avoidance of light, then the way is given. That's for all of us that he gives that. It's for everyone. It's not for anyone, it's for everyone. To be able to go this directly unto him and join with him in light and let him guide these miracles. It's really stunning. Just like he was doing with Helen. You could see when you read it, you know, he was like coaching her every day. She's writing notes, writing up the course, but he's also going, he's very practical. He was talking to her at the level she could understand about what she needed to look at and what she and Bill needed to look at. And she didn't always take his advice. He told me that. But we don't take his advice either. So what can we say? Until such a time as you see it's unmerciful. How really unmerciful that is not to follow. Now he can make your footsteps sure, your words sincere, not with your own sincerity, but with his own. Let him take charge of how you would forgive, and each occasion then will be to you another step to heaven and peace, to peace. So this is really beautiful. So much love coming with this. I said, so Jesus, we're to ask you each time how to forgive. That's deep. Like, because the ego will have a concept of what forgiveness is in each case, you know, and it'll carve out its little part of the fiefdom to keep. But when we go directly to Jesus, see, we can't in-run Jesus. I said, Jesus, so it's helpful to ask you, how can I forgive this? Help show me how I can forgive this. You know, what do I need to look at? So he completely takes over forgiveness even. Because I could see in the play of consciousness, you know, I can forgive that and I'll look at this. And if I just decondition this and, you know, I, instead of going, he shows us what to forgive and how to forgive. That's completely opening our door to him to help us quickly to join in a moment of light. Let him take charge of how you would forgive, and each occasion then will be to you another step to heaven and to peace. That's like being so completely available. I can see that, like just so available to what he would offer us. That's how we receive God's love, is total availability to what Jesus offers us. Are you not weary of imprisonment? Like we're pretending like we're not weary. So let's just ask Jesus, in truth, if I really look at this honestly, am I weary of imprisonment and pretending like I'm not? Am I willing to see how weary I am of being imprisoned by this idea? The idea that it's valuable to be unmerciful to myself. God did not choose this sorry path for you. What you have chosen still can be undone, for prayer is merciful and God is just. He is a justice he can understand, but you cannot as yet. See, because justice of the ego is always about punishment. We can't even fathom God's justice, actually. Is that true, Jesus? Yeah. Because the ego was made to deny justice of God. Let's call it justice of God. Justice of God. What is that, Jesus? Light. everything, withholding nothing. He has very simple definitions. That's justice of God. You are perfect now. But we like going to court and duking it out with the attorney and finding all the witnesses. Prove to me that I am whole and complete. But we can't look there. We have to look to Jesus to show us where we're whole and complete. Still will he give the means to you to learn of him and to know at last that condemnation is not real and makes illusions in its evil name. And yet it matters not the form that dreams may seem to take. Illusions are untrue. God's will is truth, and you are one with him in will and purpose. Here all dreams are done. So let's just see in the light of divine being, are we one with God's will in the light? Can we ever be separate from God's will in the light as light beings? Are dreams done in the light? Can any dreams coexist with light? So we really have to avoid the light like a plague, don't we, Jesus, to actually have a dream? He said yes immediately. Okay. We have to avoid supreme happiness like it's the coronavirus. It's hilarious. It's not so funny when we're in it, but we have to have him teach us what will is. Will is us. What purpose is. Purpose is just pure alignment with the Father's will, which is alignment with divine being, which is alignment with ourselves. So we have to get him to teach us from ground up what purpose is. I'm realizing I don't know what that is. He said you can't because it's you. It can't be understood with the mind. Purpose can't be understood with the mind. And you see the reflections as you're turning in, and I'm going to go for God, and you'll see the reflections. How can you do that? How are you, what's going to take care of you? Where's your retirement plan going to go? We're on the Holy Spirit plan of light. To see we are God's will for perfect happiness. There isn't another way around that. Jesus, can I find a way in the light in run supreme happiness? When I'm really honest and I look in the light. Thank you for the song of prayer. It's so deep, so many good gems in here. Thank you for joining us. Go for love. They're all here still. Over there. They are. Gracias.